Good morning, everybody. This is the second video update for the Midland Belt Railroad. I am recording this the day before the Mansfield exhibition. It's about 5 o'clock in the morning, and I am just getting everything sort of sorted out, ready to go. There's a few things. There's a few things I still need to do on the layout before it'll be ready to be packed away, ready for taking to the show this evening to set up ready. Like the back scene for a start, but just want to give you a quick run over of what I've been doing, what I've managed to achieve, and the latest updates. So first of all, we'll start with the handy company end and work down towards the Wellstone masons. I have added a few more details on here, including some palletized loads of boxes. These are Oxford die-cast, pre-built, pre-painted, that I just glued straight onto the layout. I've also added an interior artwork. I'm not quite sure if you can really see that as it is at the moment. Interior artwork to the handy company building. The tracks look like they disappear into the background. I've removed all of the background and all of the backdrop and glued it back down again, as I was using sort of double-sided sticky tape, and it just kept falling off. It wasn't sticking properly, so I've glued it all down and made sure that it sticks. Let's see, added the cross bucks. Well, I fixed the cross bucks, one of them was knocked off. I have added some posters and signs to the billboard outside of Knowles Mercantile. I've blended in the joint between the two modules. It's very rough at the moment, as it's only just been sort of stuck down. It's wet and drying. I've glued down the trackside cafe. I've added this chimney here, which is a Keebry plastic model, I do believe, from a European boiler house kit that I have covered in Clever Models Acron brick paper. I think that blends in quite well. It's the stock Keebry chimney. The brick size is way too big. Let me take it off there. You can hopefully see that. The brick size on this is huge. So that will be glued down once I've coated the bottom part in brick papers. It's mainly there to disguise the gap in the base, in the back scene. As you can see, I've started to add further stories to that building. I need to trim this piece of wood down at the end here so that it's straight. It looks a bit messy at the minute. I also need to fix it down to the back scene. This side of it, I'm going to add some strengthener along there, like a bit of light ply and such, just to keep the paper from bending and give it a bit of strength. I'm also thinking of covering this side of it like a cityscape temporarily, as this back scene is going to end up being a lot higher than that. I'm going to bring it up to a similar height, back into place. Similar height to this one eventually, just to even things out and build it up a bit. But if you're looking from down here trying to take photos, you can still see that bare board, which doesn't look too great. So I'll sort that at some point. What else have I done on this end? I think that's it for the most part over here. Let me just move that. Don't want that setting in the glue there. I've added Velcro to here so that I can add on some little car card trays. I've made the temporary measure for the moment. I'll make some proper ones when I get some decent wood, but for now they do the job. What else have I done? I have, oh yes, the fuel pump building for the fuel unloading point. Figured it needed an office, and recently got hold of the Clever Models waterfront collection, which included this little oil depot, oil shed. Comes with the little paper fuel tank. The building itself is just cereal box card with the paper stuck over the top, but the fuel tank is simply folded paper. It has no more sort of interior bracing than that, because if you try and layer it on card and fold that up, it's not going to curve properly. So unfortunately, you just have to fold the paper and hope for the best. But right, on this part of the layout on West Allen Street, the main change is the new Davis Company building, or the new Davis Produce building. I thought that I would go for something similar to what I had before on the Villas Brothers section, which was a warehouse where the tracks go underneath it on like concrete pylons. I quite like that design. I've seen it on a few layouts and I quite like it, so I thought like the loading bays would be underneath. I'm not sure if you can really see that due to the darkness, but I've removed the old loading docks and I've put this like roller shutter type ones in there, recessed those, and there's a few on like using a few layers of card to build up depth. I've also added the main building above the tracks. Put a few billboards on there and posters and such of suitable things like Pepsi Cola and Robin Hood flour and things like that, just for to tie it in as a food produce warehouse. But I've also got a loading door, like a second story loading door there, which they use for like winching things down into like gondolas and such like that. So I'm going to put a crane above the door at some point. That's one of the detail pieces I'm doing next. I think I'll also put some actual walling or like capping to stop people from falling off the building around the top eventually, and some ladders on the or sort of stairs I should say on the elevator building, elevator shed. But this is just removable for access. There we go. Look, you can probably see the door's a lot better that way. But the underside of this is just the same tan concrete brick paper as the concrete plinth that it sits on. What I was thinking of doing with that is coating it in some chalks to represent diesel smoke and oil stains and such along the bottom, where the locomotives have gone underneath the building. What I'll do is probably do the near side track, which is the main, quite thick with oil, and then the back one not quite so bad. Right, what else have I done? Down here, this has always been a pretty poor join. It's kind of become a bit of a joke amongst the regulars at the exhibitions and my fellow operator Ford, in terms of how like there's a visible height difference between the two. So I thought I'd stick this little guy here as a inspector for roll-by inspections of the freight cars and things like that as they go past, as sort of like acknowledging the elephant in the room sort of thing. I've also painted where I fixed the support beam for the fascia. I had to drill some holes through the layout, so what I've done is I've painted the sections to look like asphalt patching. They do look a little too regular in their spacing to be great, but I'll blend those in eventually. I'll probably get some chalks around that one and sort of blend that one in a lot more. To be honest, I really should put like expansion joints and stuff on the concrete here anyway, but whatever. But in you may have noticed a little change here to the trailer. I've turned it through 90 degrees because I had to move the layout of the fence, because I've just bought some 86 foot, I think it is, auto parts boxcars, which were catching on the fence as they were. They're just like scraping the fence as they went past, as they were coming through the quite sharp point work here. So I've fixed that. They do go into the fiddle yard without problems, which is nice. I might need to trim a bit of the bushes and such from here, just so it doesn't sort of catch. That shouldn't be too much of a problem, I don't think. One thing, just try to go back slowly, don't want everybody getting motion sick. One thing I have added over here, which I forgot to mention, which might be a little difficult to spot unless I go down. There we go, that's probably easier. The little sign there, little blue sign on the post, to protect the trestle, that basically says no locomotives beyond this point. Because obviously I've had a few comments over time about the way that the refuge in the centre there is sort of hanging off at a precarious angle. I wanted it to make it look like the weight of a locomotive might sort of be a problem for the trestle due to its age. So that sign's been added on there to basically say no locomotives on the trestle. That will also hopefully add operational interest to this, because to get access to any like sort of single coal hoppers, which might be at the far, or box cars or whatever, which might be at the far end of the trestle, and they'll have to use a caboose or a spacer car to couple up to that for moving the cars on and off. So back at this end, let me just move my office chair. Back at this end of the layout, I have added a sign to the gate which says gate must be kept locked at all times. I mentioned that in the last video, that I was going to try and do that to factor in the latch and padlock. Another velcro strip for another set of car card holders, same again in the middle there. But this is pretty much it for now. I think the layout is ready to go. I've removed most of the road vehicles and things that aren't stuck down ready for packing up and transporting, but that's pretty much it. I think it's pretty much ready to go. So here we are. This is West Allen Street and Thorn.